I've done a few brake pipe videos. If you haven't seen them, just check in the search. You'll find them, but this is an easy mistake to make if you're not familiar with things. I've just ordered the parts from my local auto parts supplier, and we're going to use this copper nickel piping, which is really good and it'll last forever. These brake pipes here, I was informed, you can see they've got an advanced coating of metalworm, were actually galvanized steel 2 years ago. Not good. And you can probably see here, this is how thin they are. See, look at that. They've got a sort of a coppery coating inside, but you can see here how ridiculously thin that is. Just snaps off with the hand. When you come to do the fittings, there's something to pay attention to, especially in North America, where you're not really used to what we do in Europe, and that is the unions that go on the end of the pipe. They're M10 by 1mm. Okay, so I rings up the parts shop and say, "Give us a handful of M10 by 1mm unions." Okay, what turned up? This type. These are for Japanese cars. This is for European cars. Spot the difference? See, they've got a shoulder on here that's like an undercut thread, should I say, and that makes sure that this pipe goes right down to the bottom and squeezes the bubble against the actual flexible pipe or your caliper or whatever you're putting it into. This one will bottom out and the pipe will rub around inside and it won't nip properly. And also there's a good chance sometimes with these things they'll actually screw right into the nut head and not tighten down, so it's pay attention and get the proper ones. Yeah, we've done brake pipes before. We're just going to measure them up. I'm going to put them in this like a turret machine. It's really easy to use. In fact, I should really put one in now. I'm using 3/16 brake pipe, so I'm just going to put an end on and take the protective covering off. Don't forget to put the union on. I've seen it happen before. I've seen people put them this way around and fasten all the piping up, then they have to cut it down again. Put it the right way around. Put it into your machine. Now I'm going to show you another machine that I've got, a very early one that I had. I hope you can see that. I'll tell you what, let me move the camera forward. I'll show you. So what we do is we select the correct size die for the pipe, and it's really easy to do. You just, if you're not sure, just put it in the pipe like that. So put your pipe in, and what you're aiming for is the pipe to be flush with the end of the die. And remember, you've got your fitting on as well. So put that on, put your top piece on, make sure it's flush, swing your clamp over, clamp it down, and now these dies, this stamper thing here, die or punch, whatever you want to call it, it's got two ends on. This one's to put a male bubble on, and this one's to make the double flare, one that goes inside. And I'm going to show you something in a minute why this is far superior. Not only because it's quick, oh now my nut's gone down there. Don't you always get that problem? Not only is it quick, but it makes a perfect bubble because you're stamping the end of it. Now let me show you another tool that I've had for a long time and why I upgraded. I bought this little tool when I was about 17 or 18, and occasionally I still use it for doing, you know, jobs that's in very tight places on the car. What it consists of is a screw, and this is only for 3/16. This machine here will do all sorts of sizes of pipes, so this is just fixed for 3/16. And there's your male end, and there's a nut inside, and you screw it down until that is just to say flush with the end. clamp it up, turn the thing, and away you go. Now sometimes, if you can see, if I've still got some on there, yeah, you need to put a little bit of grease on there, because what you're doing is you're shearing, you're turning the end of the pipe and trying to force it down, like screwing it down. So sometimes it's not always effective, but I've been using it for donkey's years. I must have used it 10-15 years, that tool. Over here in North America and all the rest of the world, you get this type of kit. You've probably seen them on eBay and things like this. These are not for brake pipes. Well, you can use them for brake pipes, but really they're sort of designated for heating and ventilation, air conditioning pipes and things like this, but basically copper pipe. They are not very effective at making good brake pipes. Believe me, when you use one of these, this goes in the bin. The only reason I keep this is for putting plastic, you know, when you're putting fittings into plastic pipe, this is excellent. But this thing is okay. Well, no, it's not okay really, because it's supposed to have a swivel end on here and it seizes up. And the dies are supposed to have a little pin inside that sits in the brake pipe when you're making it. There's a bigger one to show you what it should look like. But on the 3/16 ones, they just snap straight away, because nothing's centralised, if you see what I mean. So don't waste your money on something like that. Honestly, don't waste your money. These things nowadays come with a different turret, so you can change very quickly between different brake pipes. Really, really good. So I'm going to get on with that. If you have any questions about brake pipes or things like that, feel free to ask. But, you know, if you're going to do cars, quite a few cars, invest in a little bit of good gear. And again, don't be afraid of buying second hand. This was second hand, works perfectly. Just hold on, there's a bit more. I forgot to say something because I've only just noticed it. On this P38, they've put an actual proper jointer between the pipe from the master cylinder before it goes all the way down to the bottom of the back of the car. Well, that's perfectly acceptable to put connectors in. But when I was mentioning earlier, it had these Japanese style fittings. You see, 10mm Japanese. The other end of the pipe that goes on the connector is this type. Look, you know what I mentioned? It's got the full thread on, and that goes into there like that. Now, you have to be observant, because this one doesn't fit in. That is not 10mm. It looks 10mm, but it's actually 3/8 UNF. You see how easy it is to get confused, and you think, oh, that's not going to go in there because that's a 10mm. But 10mm UNF, 10mm. What am I talking about now? 10mm by 1mm pitched thread looks exactly the same as a 3/8 UNF thread, but in fact you can see it's different. You see that screws in. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this end off and use this again. I don't really like using ends again, principally because on this type of fitting what happens is the shouldered end here tends to flare out like this, and it can actually flare out so much because people really tighten them down. You only need a sort of a bit of a nip, but people really tighten them down so tight this flares out, and then when you're unscrewing them, well, it's not too bad, but screwing them in, because you've got a lip right at the very top and a gap, there is a tendency for the threads to jump. You know, when you're putting it into the fitting, like so, you could actually jump it and end up cross-threading it. Not too good when you're doing aluminium ones. Just be really careful. Just really check, and don't take anything for granted. Like this car, you know, you expect it's all got to be metric. US style fittings on there. So that was just one little addition I wanted to put on this video whilst I was doing it for you guys to watch out for, because it is really important. These little connectors are brass. They're so easy to strip, and never tap them out to a different size. They're there for a reason. They're cheap as chips, but get the corresponding parts. Alright, so take care, we'll talk to you later.